Hi, I'm Phil from PrepRS and I want to show you how to bake some bread, particularly some baguettes, which I'm going to bake and I'm going to use some 5-year-old flour. The first thing to look at is to see if it's got any flour mite. If there's any mite, disregard that part of the flour that's got the mite in it. Normally the flour mites just hang around the seams of the flour packaging. They're not normally deep into the flour, so there's no need to throw all your flour away because you've got a few mites that have colonised around the seams or the top. Look at it carefully and just get rid of any contaminated parts of the flour. Okay, so this is about 5 years old. We're also going to use some new in-date flour so we can compare one from the other, and we'll show you how we get on. Okay, so the important thing, we have got some yeast here. In a prep situation, if you've got some flour but no yeast, don't worry too much, because usually if you mix flour and water and keep it as warm as you can, wild yeast will find it within 3 days and start to process it in the usual way. Okay, let's go through all the stages and make some bread, shall we? Right, what I'm going to show you next is how to mix yeast with a water solution. This here is dried active yeast. It's not rapid, it's not fast, it's nothing like that, it's just dried active yeast. I'm putting about 1/3 of a teaspoonful in that little dish, and then I'm going to mix it with tepid water. Now this water is not too hot, that's very important because you might actually ruin your yeast. So I'm putting a little bit of water in there. Think of swimming pool water, not hot bath water, okay? And I'm going to mix that around. Might just put a little more water in there, and I'm going to mix that around until it actually dissolves, fully dissolves, okay? And that'll just take 5 minutes, okay? Okay, well I'm going to now zero in my bowl here and put 125 grams of flour, just normal flour, which is actually quite a strong white flour in fact, into this little bowl here. 125 grams, and there we are. Okay, so that's our flour. Now while I've got that there, I'm just going to put a little bit of air in that as best as I can. Okay, and then I'm going to put 125 ml of the water. Again, tepid water. Again, think swimming pool, don't think bath. And that's going to go in there. Okay, and I can also mix in this little bit of yeast which I prepared earlier. The little bit of yeast which I prepared earlier can go in there. And then I'm going to mix it all up with a wooden spoon. Okay, there we are, just pop it off that scale. Mix it all up here with a wooden spoon. That's absolutely super. Now when I've done that, I'm actually going to, I need to seal that completely. I mean, I'm talking 100%. We've got to seal that completely so it doesn't dry off, because this is going to make what we call our poolish, and the poolish is going to rest for 24 hours now. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just put a top on like that will seal absolutely perfectly, 100%. Then I'm going to put that somewhere warm for 24 hours. Okay, let's do that. Right, here we are. This is 24 hours later, and here we have the poolish. Absolutely great. You've seen where it's started to ferment a little. The texture is absolutely brilliant, just what I'd expect. Okay, what I've got here is I've got exactly, remember this is the following day. I've actually got my poolish there, which is absolutely fermenting beautifully. What I'm going to do is a little more water goes in with a small measure of dried active yeast once more, and I'm going to add that to the poolish, and then 300 grams of further flour. Right, so here we go. I'm going to pop that on there, zero it, very important, and then put another 300 grams of flour into there. Right, nearly there. Okay, so 300 grams of flour, again strong white flour. I'm going to add that to the poolish also and start to mix it up. Right, here we go. So this is what we've got so far. And what I'm going to do to knead is fold it over and push, 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 and do that about 10 times, okay? And push, fold it over and push. A little bit more flour, I think, on that. Okay, a little bit more flour, just a little bit wet, I think. There we go. So, push, fold it over, push, fold it over and push. Do that about 10 times. Push and push. And what I'm going to do now is just put the lid back on. There we go. Fully seal again. I'm going to put that to one side for 10 minutes. Okay? Again, I can't stress enough to wash your hands as often as you really can at making bread. Very important. To recap, we've actually mixed the yeast with the flour, made a poolish, which we've actually allowed to mature for 24 hours. We've then mixed more flour, more yeast, more water with that poolish to make the actual bread and the dough that we're using for the baguettes. Okay, now we're stretching out with the dough, we're stretching out the baguette. We don't want to be too club-ended, so make sure it's as in proportion as you can. It's very important. Obviously, you don't want to be spending too long doing it, but I think that'll do for one. And then we'll do a second one. This is the new flour. So it's all doing very well, just stretching that out nicely. Again, you don't want big club ends as if you're going to hit somebody with it. Stretching it out nicely. That's a bit of flour there. That's beautiful. And then actually we've got 2 moulds. We bought some moulds for this purpose. You don't need moulds at all, but it might help keep it in shape. And for about £9 per twin mould, they're probably, worth it, and they'll keep it in some sort of order. Right, so here we are. I think that'll have to do. Put that down there. And we'll do a little bit of scoring, so in actual fact we'll just a little bit of scoring on the top there. Okay, let's put them in the oven. Yeah, they're absolutely fantastic. Okay, so here we are then. So we've baked our bread. One important thing to stress here is when you bake the bread, always put some water in a bowl or whatever you've got in the oven, so you get this moist air in the oven. Otherwise it can be a little bit on the dry side. Here we are, perhaps not the best smoothest of baguettes, but they look well edible to me. The new ones are just here. I'd say that they've risen a little more than the 5-year-old flour. But let's cut some up and have a look, shall we? They both look well appetising to me. They're both tapping nice and hollow, which is a sign that they're done. Yeah, so I think perhaps the older have not risen quite so much. But if I take one of the new baguettes, absolutely beautiful. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Yeah, absolutely. Smells good, should taste good as well. Let's try one of the older ones, shall we? This is 6-year-old flour. Again, yeah, it's risen reasonably, perhaps not as much as the new flour. Smells great. Yeah, lovely baguette. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put a little bit of butter on there. This is the old one, 6-year-old. Beautiful. Oh, absolutely beautiful. 6-year-old flour. The new one, this is new flour. Absolutely beautiful again. So, there we are. The 6-year-old flour didn't seem to rise quite so much as the new flour, but otherwise the taste is indistinguishable. Absolutely beautiful.